Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you've been having a good past couple of weeks. I apologize for how little I've been uploading. Those of you who are new to my channel and have no idea what I did at university or where I went to JMC Academy in Melbourne and I studied film. Once you finish, you receive your Diploma of Film and Television and then your Bachelor of Creative Arts in Film and Television. The Bachelor is made up of 6 trimesters, which is squished over 2 years, but for me it took a little bit longer because in trimester 6 I had to go part-time. So I was meant to finish in June or July, but I'm finishing now instead. Each trimester you have 4 classes, and within those classes you get your marks not from a big exam like most unis. It's actually spread out across different assignments, presentations, essays, tests. So even though I don't have a big exam, which is good, I'm really grateful for that, we have big assignments. A lot of pressure, but I guess it's a bit different because it's not all relying on studying, which personally is a lot better for me because my memory is shocking. It's possible that some of you guys who are watching this are interested in the course that I did. So I'm going to leave a list of the subjects in the description below. Each trimester, one of the subjects is a very practical class, and most of the class is spent working on the project. I started university in June 2015, which is ages ago now that I'm looking back. I remember when I first begun at JMC, I was a very different person. I was much more shy back then. I was a lot more anxious as a person, mostly socially. I remember even simply answering questions during class used to make me so nervous and my heart will be beating so fast. When I look back on that trimester, I feel like I experienced so little outside of the projects. I didn't do any filming at all, which is so frustrating because I feel like if I tackled it earlier on, I would be much better than I am right now. And it's just so frustrating, but you can't really regret things like that because that's just who I was at the time and that was my comfort zone. So if you're going to a university where they give you access to equipment for whatever industry you're in, please take advantage of that. It took me a long time to start making friends in trimester 1. It's only one guy called James, who I'm still friends with today. The first project in that class was called a postcard. It was basically a short film, but the audio didn't matter at all and we were just gonna chuck music over the top. It was the funnest experience ever. I actually have the short film up on my YouTube channel right now, so I'll have it linked in the description if you'd like to check it out. It makes me laugh so hard looking back because it's just funny in general because it was a comedy, but there is just so many filmmaking mistakes. The other people in our group were very slack, so pretty much James and I did the entire thing. And another thing that made it very challenging was that we decided to film on a day in Melbourne where I'm pretty sure it hadn't rained that much in like 30 years. One thing that short film made me realize though was how much I loved filming stuff and how much I wanted to be in this industry because everything possible went wrong, yet I still had so much fun. So I kept thinking to myself, imagine if everything went right, or there was just less of a workload for us. Imagine how much fun that would be. After that, our next project in trimester 1 was a live studio show. And again, I actually have it still uploaded. It's called Send the Trends and I was the producer for it. So I'll have that linked in the description. It was a fashion-based live show and I'm actually still pretty proud of it, to be honest. Obviously, we could have done it a lot better than we did, but I feel like we did a pretty damn good job and we worked really well as a team. One thing I realized from making that project was how cool it is that you can combine passions within the film industry. Now moving on to trimester 2, I feel like this was probably the worst trimester for me. Our main project was a documentary. Again, I will have mine linked below. It is really bad though. The topic is very important and it was really interesting to work on, but I feel like I couldn't have done it any worse production-wise. The original idea I had for my documentary was children's gymnastics. I was actually working at a children's gymnastics place at the time. I remember I filmed an interview for it and I got help from my friend Tim, and that was a bit of a mess, but we got that done, which was great. So then the next thing I had to do was go collect some B-roll. I had all of my gear, I had my boyfriend at the time with me, and I couldn't get the tripod to work. I just could not work out how to make it work. So I began setting it up. I half broke it. I think I got the camera stuck to the tripod. I don't even know. It was such a mess. And I literally started crying and then picked up the mangled mess of a tripod and just carried it right out and just left. And then I never continued with the documentary. I was that anxious as a person back then. Then it meant I had to start from the very beginning with another documentary. And when I say the very beginning, I don't mean like, you know, the first interview. I mean all the pre-production work. Then I moved on to a different documentary idea. And this documentary is called Be the Change, which I completed it. So I would say that in itself is an accomplishment, but it was such a mess. I broke multiple pieces of equipment somehow. One interesting thing I took from that is it made me realize how much more I loved filming with other people. Those of you who know Miranda, who is Books 101 on YouTube, this was actually when we begun being friends. I remember I helped out on her documentary, which was about Spartan racing. I helped film an interview for it, and that's actually when we begun talking. Moving on to Trimester 3. This was a crazy trimester. There was so much drama and conflict. I feel like it would have been an amazing reality TV show, but it was also so much fun at the same time. This is when I started really making friends and finding people that I loved working with. And yeah, looking back, even though there was a lot of bad things that happened, there was also so many good memories. So this was this trimester that was focused on the one big short film. We all had to pitch ideas for it, and then whatever got the highest vote we made. This short film, my role was production designer, which is interesting because me being production designer on this short film, even though I didn't do a great job, led to other production design jobs. That was also costumes, because costumes are sort of included in production design when we're doing projects. And I was makeup artist and hairstylist, and I was kind of a babysitter because we had kids on set. And I love kids, don't get me wrong. So it was actually very fun, but managing all those roles at once, ooh, that was stressful. Making this short film was one of the most crazy experiences I have had on set. There were many tears, including mine. I think one of the most fun parts of working on that short film was the downtime. In between the shoot days at night, a few of us stayed at Miranda's place, and it was a lot of fun, like playing board games and drinking and chatting, and I feel like it made me a lot closer to those people. At JMC, they also have a music department, and I actually started working with some of the musicians. They used to run these little sessions behind JMC. I think they were called laneway sessions, and some of the musicians would perform out the back, and then we would film it on multiple cameras. I decided to work on one of them as a camera operator, which was so much fun, and it made me realize how much I loved filming music. And I remember at some point I worked on a Trimester 4 music video. I only worked on it for one day as an assistant camera, but I learned so much. At the very end of Trimester 3, my friend Tim and I decided to start contacting musicians at JMC ourselves so that we could film little live studio performances for them. So we did it for the musician Taylor Piggott and also for the band Creature Fear. So we'll basically hire out 3 cameras, control one each, have a locked off shot, do all the lighting for it, and then we'd organize someone in the audio department to record it for them, and then we'd edit it all together. It was a really good way for us to get practice in every department. Now moving on to Trimester 4. Our main projects in Trimester 4 are a music video and an ad. So the music video is actually a collaboration of different departments at JMC. So it's with a musician from the music department and with a entertainment manager from the entertainment management course. Music video was for the song Garden by Rachel Caddy, and she is so lovely and really talented as well. So it was great to work with her. This was the first project I was DOP on, which is director of photography. So I was in control of all of the lighting and the camera stuff. While I was filming it, I remember I was thinking the shots were looking amazing and I was feeling pretty damn proud of myself. But I remember even after it was done, at that point, I had already improved and I was like, damn it, I could have done so much better. Then we had to do an advertisement and I was director for this, which is crazy. This is still the only thing I've directed. And we did a mock Domino's ad, and this was a very challenging but really rewarding day. The other ad that we had in our class was a mock Cadbury ad, and this was so much fun. I think I was assistant camera. This was so fun. It was very like sensual. My friend Tim and I filmed for another musician who was releasing an EP, and her her name is Taylor Carroll, and we were filming a live performance of it in this little bar, and it was such a good experience, and it was cool to work with a musician outside of JMC for the first time. Oh yeah, this is actually the trimester that I filmed a live concert for the first time, which was very cool. It was for the jazz musician Michael Charles, who actually tours worldwide, so it was really cool getting that opportunity. As I said before, for some reason people were under the illusion that I was a good production designer, so I actually got picked up as a production designer for a graduate film. I was production designer on the mockumentary The Cycle, which was such a fun experience. I learned so much from all of the crew around me, and I still work with some of those people today, which is awesome. Cycle is definitely one of the best projects that I've worked on. The result at the end was so good, and it actually won multiple Martini Awards. This was also around the time that people at JMC started working out that my dad's office is a good location to film. When we did the Trimester 3 short film, we did a few scenes in there, and people were like, So basically there was another Trimester 3 short film being made called Sour Milk. So I got to be location manager, which was awesome. And I met so many people on that set. It was also the time that I was working on Wine Time Live, which was a Facebook live stream. So I was assistant camera on the promotional video, and then I was a camera operator on the actual show. And that was so much fun. It involved a member of the Pussycat Dolls. There was live snakes. It was crazy awesome, and I was going to continue working on it this year, but unfortunately they moved to America, so I couldn't, but that was still an awesome experience. Now moving on to Trimesters 5 and 6. So basically they're dedicated to our graduate film. I was working on 2 graduate films. So the first one was the series Book Burbia, which is on Miranda's channel. All the episodes are up right now, so I'll have them linked in the description. And then I was also working on a short film called Tooth and Nail, which you guys will see behind the scenes of. So Trimester 5 was basically dedicated to all the pre-production work for those projects. I got to mention this before, but in some of the other little things I did last trimester, I was working with this guy called Jake, and we worked together really well. So I started being his assistant on some things this trimester, which was awesome. One of the things I assisted him on was a short film called Cinderella and the 7 Stages of Grief. I feel like I learned a lot that day about camera stuff, so that was a really good experience. This is a little bit awkward now, but basically there is a documentary out now which was about the Collingwood women's football team. Originally, Jake and I were filming that. I was his assistant, he was the main camera. We filmed a few interviews for it, some B-roll, but unfortunately Collingwood wanted to find their own crew, so yeah, we kind of lost that job. I also got picked up for another production design job, which was again, very random. And it was for the graduate film Pickles. I just had such a fun time. I really liked the people I was working with. That was actually the day that I became friends with Michael, who you've seen on my channel quite a lot. He loves vlogging. Definitely the most challenging role I've done as a production designer, because when I came in there, everything was empty. Even all the chairs and tables were packed up. So I basically started with like a blank slate. Also, there were so many actors, which therefore meant a lot of costume. Then in this trimester, another group of people discovered that my dad's office is a good place to film. So I worked on another graduate film called Operation Aries, which is kind of like a spy film from what I remember. And not only was I location manager this time, but I was actually the production designer's assistant. I remember we ended at ridiculous hours, so we're all very delirious and like playing with the toy guns, and it was just a little bit ridiculous. Then I also filmed for my dad. The footage never went anywhere. I don't even know where it would be because he never asked for it to be edited. And that again reminded me that I don't like filming alone, mainly when it's something that's barely impossible to manage on your own because you have to be in multiple places at once to do so. So that was then the end of 2016. And the first thing I did in the first week of 2017, which is this year, is I got to work on a show called The Song Room, which is basically a music-based discussion show. It's kind of like a podcast, but then they also perform. It's super, super fun. I got to be a camera operator on that, which was awesome because I really love being a camera operator. The most exciting part for me personally was that the well-established artist was Goite, and I have been listening to him since I was about 11. So that was the coolest thing, to meet him in person and to be filming him. Then I went on my holiday to Japan. That's where all the Japan vlogs happened. And then I came back and I was into Trimester 6. This was the time when I started being assistant camera a lot. I feel like that was something I was getting a lot more experience with. One of the people I was assistant for was my teacher, James Pullai. And that was a great experience because he taught me so much. And it was a really cool shoot as well. It was in a big lawyer's firm. And I actually started an internship. I ended up quitting the internship because it just wasn't right for me. But during that time, I had a lot of experience as assistant camera, which was great. There was a lot of interviews with architectures. There was architecture conferences. There was an interview at the Melbourne Art Gallery, which was really cool. Then I worked on another grad film called Deadline, and I was assistant camera on it, and it was such a fun shoot. I met some really cool people that day. Then I somehow got to work with the company Monash University. It was basically for the studying abroad department, and they were making a little short film that was showing the experiences of international students at Monash to basically encourage people overseas to come study abroad. This was a very different job for me because not only was I the camera operator with Michael, but I was also the co-producer. So for the first time, I was doing paid producing work, which was the weirdest thing ever. This year, I again started working a little bit more with my friend Tim. We did some jobs that honestly weren't really that fun, and we were so not organized for them. So they were pretty stressful, but I feel like, again, we learned so much. Even simply that I needed a second battery or that I needed bigger SD card. I filmed a all-day conference for the company Breakthrough Practice Solutions, which was kind of like chiropractor health stuff. Then we also filmed a local footy team for the coach. Then I excitingly got to work with the company Valiant Film Co, which you guys would have recently seen in a vlog if you're up to date in my vlogs. I basically got to work on a cinema ad for the company Guff, which is a store in Ballarat. I love this day so much. We were in a really cool location in Mount Dandenong. They were all so lovely to work with, and I really want to work with them again in the future. I worked with a Blackmagic camera before, so that was very cool. And I also did behind the scenes that day, so it was really cool to get all of this camera experience. Then after that, we filmed Tooth and Nail, which was our graduate film, which was actually originally meant to be filmed just after we came back from Japan. So like the first few weeks of Trimester 6. But our director at the time unfortunately dropped out. My friend Dylan, who was the writer and editor, and me, who was the DOP, basically had to search for a director. Friend Dylan ended up doing the producer role just so we could keep the crew a bit smaller, which was a good decision. And basically, this is how I met my friend Steve, who ended up being the director. And Steve took it right on board and did an incredible job from the get-go. Tooth and Nail was definitely one of the funnest things I have ever worked on, and definitely the most rewarding. I was DOP, so I was in control of all of the lighting and the camera. Obviously, I had a gaffer to actually do all the lighting for me, but I could make the lighting decisions, and it was just such a good experience, and I'm actually really proud of how it turned out. Definitely one of the most challenging sets I've worked on. There were so many obstacles that got in the way, which you will see in the behind the scenes, but it was so rewarding and so much fun. I loved absolutely everyone on set. They were all so talented and hardworking and caring and considerate. This year was also the first time that I worked with the company Vattrack Media that film car racing stuff. So we were filming an event called the Come and Try Day. I filmed that day with my friend Michael, and it was so much fun. So I can't wait to work with Vattrack Media again in the future. As a lot of you guys would know, just after we filmed Tooth and Nail, I had a lot of major life changes. Since then, I have done two things which are actually so much fun. One of the things was working on a music video, which was freaking awesome, and it was for really talented people. So I am forever grateful for that opportunity. The song was called 4 AM, and it's by the musician Dex, and it featured All Day. If you guys know them, let me know in the comments. That would be very cool. I have it linked in the description. I would love for you to check it out. Since then, I have done one job, and it was something very random that I just did on Friday. It was filming a 9th and 10th birthday party with my friend Steve, and it was the funniest experience. The amount of dabs I filmed that night, it's actually crazy. Up until then, I hadn't filmed an event before, so that was a really cool experience. So one JMC event I loved going to this year was the Martini Awards. I was so proud of everyone who won them, and it was awesome to see how many the cycle won, and it was really cool being nominated for production design. That was insane. Doing pretty average and kind of bad at times in high school meant that my expectations were really low. So when I started getting decent marks at university, I was very easily proud of myself. Overall, the last couple of years have been some of the best years in my life so far. So I definitely have JMC to thank for that, and all of the people I met while I was there. The lecturers were all absolutely incredible. I learned so much from them, and obviously one of the most important parts is all of the friends I made at JMC. I love you all so much. I have met some of the most incredible people in the last few years, and I value the crap out of them, and I love them so much. So I'm really glad that JMC helps me meet these people. Anyway, I've been filming somehow for nearly 2 hours. I have no idea how. And now we're to the present day. My actual graduation is in November, which is a bit weird because it's sort of like this gap in between, but I cannot wait for that. It's going to be absolutely amazing, and I am for sure going to be vlogging it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this super long video. If you enjoyed it, remember to give it a thumbs up and comment below if you have any questions about absolutely anything that I spoke about in this video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.